Hello everyone, welcome to the first episode of Unspoken Stories. This is a podcast started by York St John students as part of the Working with Words publishing module. I'm Ben.
I'm Tallulah, his co-host. As the time of recording this, yesterday was Valentine's Day, and both me and Ben spent Valentine's Day with our partners. What did you do?
We just went to a restaurant and then went home and had some wine.
All right. Mr. Rich can afford to go to a restaurant. No, me and my boyfriend, we just stayed in, got really ridiculously drunk, and watched one of my favourite films of all time, Stardust.
Stardust, what's that about?
It's a 2009 film where it's got like a load of people that are now in Marvel films and TV shows. Like it's got it had Michelle Pfeiffer in it, Robert De Niro. It's got the villain from the Punisher series. It's got him who plays Daredevil in it, and it's a terribly brilliant film.
What's it about?
It's it's basically about this fallen star who falls, and then she falls in love with a human, and then it's just full of just, I don't even know how to describe it really.
That sounds very interesting.
It's so shit. It's brilliant.
Anyway, getting sidetracked a bit. We've made this podcast, or we've been forced to start this podcast to promote the Beyond the Walls Anthology book, which is coming out soon. It's a collection of stories written by, is it third years, I believe?
Third years and postgraduate students.
Yeah, we can't submit to it because we're only second years, but we can still publish it for some reason. Don't know what the rule is there.
Talking about submissions, the submissions open March. They are open now, and they close on the same day as the showcase, which is March 11th.
So get them all sorted now. The post should be on the blog. What's the blog called? Where Ideas Grow. Also run by York St John students and staff. Good place. We should be posting on it. Our team, probably not me personally, but we've got some people in the room with us who are giving us prompts, and they're going to be the blog team. Thank you, Rachel.
Also on the blog team is Rachel, who's just helped us by telling us the name of the blog that we were supposed to be on and talking about and knowing stuff about it. But me and Rachel are going to get stolen and put onto a stage during this showcase. And yeah, hopefully don't make massive tits of ourselves.
Well, good luck with that. Anyway, the theme of the anthology is Unspoken, hence the name Unspoken Stories. That could include a bunch of things like marginalised voices, future, prophecy, things like that. For me, it personally means ghost stories. I'm a massive fan of ghost stories and true crime. Like one of my favourite ghost stories is about York. It's Lower Petergate. There was a woman who was dragged through Lower Petergate and hung in front of the church, and you can still see her in the church window. Very nice. Setting a good tone for the first episode.
Yeah. It's called Mad Alice Lane.
I mean, York has a lot of ghost stories because it's just so old and things like that. Have you got any other ones that you can tell us?
There's one smack next to the Minster. There was a woman who trying to think. A person who was close to the mayor wanted to marry her, and she turned around and was like, "No, fuck off." And then he was like, "You have the plague. I'm gonna shove you in a wall, and then we're gonna brick it up." And then apparently you can still hear scratching on the walls from where she was trying to get out.
Very scary. Well, save the ghost stories for the Folk Horror Festival that we're probably going to be doing an episode around the time of.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, when does the Folk Horror Festival start? Sometime in March. Even Rachel doesn't know. But save your ghost stories for then. For now, we've got some other things planned for the other episodes. Next episode, we're going to be having our tutor, Rob O'Connor, the person who forced us to make this podcast.
Yeah, we're going to torture him straight back.
Well, it's almost like a form of Stockholm Syndrome, having him on the podcast.
Yeah, definitely.
We've done our own personal research on him, and hopefully the interview's going to be good. Rob, if you're listening to this, we know a lot about you, and we're going to be bringing it up. We're looking forward to it. Hopefully we'll get some other guests on. We're thinking of getting Sam Reese. Well, since we're all part of the creative writing course and so on, we've all done writing in the past. We all like literature, books and things like that. What would you say your favourite book is, or genre, Tallulah?
Genre, definitely like fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
My
like
favourite...
high fantasy or like dark fantasy?
All of it, really. All of it. I love things about like elves and fae and stuff like that, because when I was growing up, I grew up in a place called Sheffield, and
Arctic Monkeys from there.
I was born in the same hospital as Alex Turner.
Oh, very cool.
Everyone from Round My Way has something to do with Alex Turner. It's all lies, but obviously. And I can remember there was this forest near where I grew up, and everyone said, "Oh, if you see bluebells run away, they're fair traps." So stuff like that. So I love reading about that because obviously I grew up around it. And so yeah, anything like that. But my favourite book of all time, I read it when I must have been like 10, was definitely Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters. Yeah.
So like, I don't do very much reading, but when I do, it's all classic stuff.
An English student that doesn't read, I'm shocked.
Shocking. But I think my favourite book back in the day, I used to read it all the time in primary school, was Robinson Crusoe.
Never heard of it.
It's the guy trapped on an island with cannibals, and it's pretty much the inspiration for was it Castaway with Tom Hanks? Castaway, classic.
Jesus.
Yeah.
How have I never heard of that? How did you read that in primary school?
It was in the library. We had a bunch of weird books in the library. We had one about ghost stories, which I think you would have liked. They had to remove it from the year 2 library we had in the corner because everyone would line up to read it, and it was like the only thing we all read. And we just scare ourselves to death just reading about all like their things. I still keep something in mind from that, which is like, if you hear an owl at night, it means someone has died. That's what it means, according to that book. Probably bullshit. It had pictures of like Bigfoot and things like that in it. So.
Oh, I fully believe that Bigfoot's real. It's just that the pictures of him is just that he's just naturally blurry like that.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the topic of like books. I'd say my favourite genre, probably just like about anything, is like sci-fi and dark fantasy and things like that, or neo-noir. I very much like neo-noir.
Definitely it's really cool.
What was the last book that you read, Tallulah?
Oh shit.
See, the pressure's on you now.
Oh.
You're not reading either.
No, I do read. It's just the books that I read involve shirtless men on the covers.
Right, not safe for us.
Yeah.
Okay,
Are
you a smut lover?
Fuck yeah.
Admit to it.
No.
Be proud in it.
No. The last book I read was about Operation Mincemeat, which had the guy who wrote 007, the guy who 007 was based off of, as well as the man who wrote what was it? It's the room, the George Orwell.
1984.
Yes, that's the one. And the reason he called it 1984 is because there was a room in it, and the room, I think, there's the name of a room in that book. Oh, Room 101. And the reason he called it that was because there was a room that he would have meetings in with, like, the head of the British Army or Intelligence Service or whatever. And he would go in, and it'd be the most boring meetings ever. So he decided to make the evil room, Room 101.
Was this George Orwell, you said?
Yeah, George Orwell.
I think I read somewhere that George Orwell fought in Spain against Franco's forces, so he's very much on the military side of that.
Yeah, he was. And also, there was the Q division, which made gadgets and stuff. And that's why they had Q in the 007, because they were friends. The person who wrote 007 and George Orwell, they were friends.
Very interesting.
Ian Fleming, thank you.
I think the last book I read, it was No Country for Old Men by Cormac McCarthy, one of my favourite authors. I only read it because I'm a big fan of the film. Classic film. Any like good cinephile will tell you they love No Country for Old Men.
Yeah.
What's interesting about the book is that it's almost word for word with the film, because it was originally written as a screenplay by Cormac McCarthy, but he decided to turn it into a novel anyway. And it has that very textbook Cormac McCarthy style where he uses like
really
almost
cool.
no punctuation at all. It's just and full stop.
That is really cool. Oh, I know something about screenplays. Do you know the person who wrote the Godfather books?
Yes.
He was asked by the studio to write the screenplays for it.
I think I've heard this.
Yeah.
They said look to the Godfather, and even though he didn't know anything about screenplay.
Yeah, because what happened was he thought after he writ the screenplays for all 3 of the films, he was like, fuck it, I'll actually learn how to write a screenplay. He opened up a book and it said, look to Godfather 1 for the perfect example of a screenplay.
Well, at least he knew he didn't need to change.
Oh yeah, it's literally, he was like, fuck it, I might as well learn, and he already knew.
Yeah. I mean, on our creative writing course, I don't know if you're joined on us or not, we are doing a script writing course.
I am also in that course.
Very cool. I think in terms of like films, I'd say my favourite film of all time is Silence of the Lambs. Don't know if you've heard that one. The one with Hannibal Lecter.
I have, yes, but I refuse to watch it, 'cause even though I'm a massive fan of true crime and stuff like that. Put me in front of a horror film, can't watch it.
Really?
I can't even watch the Scary Movie franchise.
But I thought you were like into ghost stories.
I am, yeah, but it's different when it's horror films. It's really different. It's
Surely ghost stories are like scarier because they're real. Like, maybe you'd run into one of the ghost stories in York.
Nope, refuse.
So horror's like I've got a weird relationship with horror. I do scare quite easily, but I do love films like The Thing by John Carpenter and anything he's done, like Halloween.
Yeah. I scare really easily, but also at the same time, I'm a horror writer. So anytime I write anything, it's got to do something to do with the horror.
Do you get scared by your own work?
No. Yeah. I do, yeah. Because I'll be like, oh, this is like really like good, and then I'll close my laptop and open it the next day, forget what I've written, and then I'll be like, the fuck have I written? Like, why is there a creature coming out of someone's chest? Like, what the fuck? But yeah.
Did you get that from Alien or?
It's a film called Alien.
Is the film
I got it from Alien, yeah.
Let's say, well, I mean, if you're scared by your own works, you know you're doing it right.
Yeah, definitely. The only thing is, though, is that one of my friends once read one of my works and said, oh, this reminds me of Stephen King. I don't like Stephen King. I've read some of his work, and it's just bad.
But I think because he writes so often, so quickly, that it's like not all of it's bound to be good. He's gonna like throw things at the wall so it sticks. It has a very interesting ending that I think most people know about by now. He does have some good work. I liked Misery when I read that. That was a very good book.
Yeah.
And a good film as well.
Yeah. Just like the way that he describes underage girls in. Yeah. I don't like that. But
I mean, he did write The Shining, so I mean, you have to give him that.
That is true.
And Carrie.
Carrie's
Don't
sick.
forget Carrie.
Carrie's accurate. Like, just getting your period and then going insane.
It's
just accurate.
I mean, there are plenty of other good horror writers. I think my personal favourites are like Clive Barker, who Stephen King personally endorsed, saying he's the future of horror, and H.P. Lovecraft. I think most people know him.
I like Lovecraftian horror stuff.
It's like become its own full-fledged genre now with its own tropes.
Yeah, like Cthulhu is like its own thing. But it's just really cool.
There's like a million different IPs that all use the Cthulhu name that have nothing to do with Lovecraft. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, and obviously there was the meme of everyone googling what Lovecraft's cat was called. Yeah, we're not going to talk about that though. We're not going to talk about that. But yeah, it's just how even ancient like literature that we study is like talked about in like normal day life. Like it becomes memes and stuff like that, and it becomes like really important. And then also everyone's like, oh, 1984, even though none of those people have actually read the book. And it just makes me laugh.
Yeah, I mean, like that's the power of literature, really, isn't it? I mean, you study creative writing. It's like you're trying to harness a power that you can't really get a hold on, because everyone before you has done it way better than you ever will.
Yeah, but also at the same time, they all thought that everyone before them had done it 1,000 times better than them.
It's a horrible cycle. I mean, the philosophy I have is that every good writer hates everything that they've ever written.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Every time I've finished writing something, I have to look at it and say, I'm not submitting this. Like 1 hour before the deadline, I am not submitting this.
Or you read through it and then you go, it's best it's gonna fucking get.
Yeah, well, it's the best you can do, really, isn't it?
Womp womp.
At some point, you've got to call it a day.
Yes. Thank you, Rachel, for that wonderful wisdom.
You can only edit for so long until you tie yourself in knots.
Thank you, Rachel, for reminding us that we should shut up soon, because this is only the introductory episode. So just to lay out the formalities, this is Unspoken Stories. I'm Ben, my co-host is Tallulah.
Hi.
And we've got some upcoming episodes. Next week we should have Rob O'Connor on the show. We've done some research on him. We'll be talking about all the things that he's written, including short stories, his love for craft beer, apparently, and his love for Blade Runner, which I'd love to talk to him about.
Which reminds me, I need to watch Blade Runner again.
The first one.
Yeah, the first one specifically, yeah.
How have you only seen 2049? Anyway.
Well, because it was the thing, wasn't it? It was all over TikTok where it was like, you look lonely, I can fix that. And I was like, ooh, she's pretty. And then watched it.
Very, very sad.
And then cried.
Very sad. The kids these days, the second one, just because of a TikTok meme.
Just, you're like not even...
Oh, yeah. Don't forget... submissions are open. They close on the 11th, and on the 11th there is also the literature showcase,
Which
I
me and Rachel are going to be on stage for.
Come and laugh at us. Not in the carry way, though.
not in the carrieway.
Yeah, no, don't like put us in the carrieway. We are able to be found on the social medias for this anthology, which do we have the names of?
Yeah, so on Instagram it's at BeyondYSJ.
At BeyondYSJ on Instagram is the Instagram for us.
And the blog is the York St John Where Ideas Grow blog. Posts will be coming very shortly, so keep an eye on that.
That's the Where Ideas Grow blog, also run by York St John students and staff. Very cool blog.
Which you will be able to learn more about our lovely Claire and Ryan and Tom and Rachel. I don't think we're allowed to touch the blog because we're dirty podcast people.
We're delegating it to them. This is our job. This is our burden. You know, one must imagine us happy as we push our podcast up the hill.
Yeah. Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening. Hopefully we'll see you next time with Rob.
Bye.